Firing, I'd like to introduce you to our cannon. Now, its full name is, it is a model 1841 6-pound smoothbore field gun. Now, as you heard, it's a pretty long name, and soldiers at the time probably wouldn't have called it by its full name. They would have just called it their 6-pounder. Now, why is the 6-pound part so important in the description of the cannon? Yes, the ball that this cannon is designed to shoot weighs 6 pounds. And from this elevation and 20 ounces of black powder, we are expected to shoot a 6-pound cannonball up to a maximum distance of a mile, which is just past the shores of Round Island out there. But I also mentioned that it's a smoothbore weapon. And now smoothbore means that the inside of the cannon is just as smooth as the outside. So there's no rifling, and the ball doesn't have any spin when it comes out of the cannon. So although we could hit it about a mile, the best I can tell you folks is that it would hit that tree. The green one. That's as specific as I can get. And now a better, more accurate distance is about half a mile, which is at the end of the break rocks out there. And an excellent cannon crew of 8 men would be expected to hit a stationary ferry at the end of the break rocks 1 out of every 3 times. And they would be considered excellent. However, myself and Andrew, we are not an excellent cannon crew. I'm sorry to say. And actually, we're not actually going to be shooting a cannonball for you folks today. So you folks can all say, trust me, I'm sorry. There's nothing more that I would love to do than to shoot a 6-pound cannonball out of this cannon and see that splash in the water. But there's a couple reasons we can't. And the most important reason is that it is historically inaccurate. Now, I said this is an 1841 field gun. And myself and Andrew are representing infantry soldiers from the 1880s. What's the Army thinking? Sending up a 40-year-old, wildly inaccurate cannon up to the most important gun platform with 2 soldiers that aren't trained to use it. What does that tell you about the importance of Fort Mackinac in the 1880s? It's not very important. This cannon would just be here for salute purposes. We would shoot it in the morning and in the evening when we lowered the flag, because the fort served as the headquarters to Mackinac Island National Park in the 1880s. So I don't know about national parks having to defend themselves or being very aggressive. So this wasn't here for military or tactics standpoint. And in the 1880s, they would have sent just 2 soldiers up here to the gun platform. And first they would have to clean out their cannon. And to start that process off, they would have 1 soldier put on a leather patch on their thumb and perform what is called thumb stalling. I'm going to put my thumb over the touch hole in the back of the cannon. And that prevents any air from entering through the breech. And that means all the air is controlled through Andrew in the front of the weapon. And now the first tool Andrew's going to use is called a gunner's worm, which, as you see, is like a double corkscrew at the end of a stick. And he's going to slide that into the cannon and try to take out any debris that might be located inside. Because it would be a sad day if we had so much debris that it didn't reach our charge didn't reach all the way back to the end of the cannon. And also, we want to take out the debris just in case there's a spark or an ember still lingering on the debris. Because obviously, it would be a bad idea to put live gunpowder on live fire. And so our next tool actually helps to prevent fire as well. It is called a wet swab. Andrew dunked that into a bucket of water. And we use this to get rid of any fire that may be lingering inside our cannon. And it does this in 2 ways. The first way is obviously water. Water extinguishes fire, so that's why I put it there. But also, it has you hear that thunk right there. That's the vacuum collapsing. So without air, fire can't keep going. So the vacuum actually extinguishes the fire as well. And now with that, we are ready to put in our charge. We think it's safe. We hope so, at least. This is the 3 ounces of black powder. We wrapped ours in aluminum foil. Now in the 1880s, they would have used cloth. However, cloth tends to burn. And generally, people in Marquette Park don't like flaming shards of cloth interrupting their family picnic. So So we use the aluminum foil, which doesn't burn. You see, Andrew's using this curved ramrod, which allows them to stand off to the side. Now in the 1880s, they were more efficient than that. They would have used a straight ramrod. But think about that. You're using a straight ramrod, you're putting in live gunpowder into the cannon with your chest right in front. That doesn't seem very safe. And it wasn't. And sometimes there would be accidents, and the matrosses, the people using the ramrod, would be lost. So for Andrew's sake and for all of ours, we use curved safety ramrod. And now Andrew's going to step to the rear of the cannon and take out a brass spike or a gimlet. Now we use brass because it doesn't spark with either the aluminum foil or the cannon. So we can poke a hole into our aluminum foil safely. Now our ignition device today is a friction primer. This is an accurate device for the time period. It was invented in the 1840s. So it was around during the Civil War and the 1880s. And it works like a grenade and a rocket. You pull this pin out just like a hand grenade. And the black, which you see up here, is actually friction sensitive material, like you'd find at the end of a strike anywhere match. So you pull the pin out and the top gets lit on fire. And now this tube, this brass tube, is filled with very fine gunpowder. So once there's fire, it explodes the gunpowder into the cannon. And because we poked a hole in our aluminum foil, it'll get into the foil and set off a big boom for all of us today. Now with that, it looks like Andrew's just about ready, but my voice is kind of hoarse, it's kind of loud out here, so I'm going to need you folks' help in firing this cannon. Now there's two commands, and this is practice. Practice. Now I'm going to have these folks help me with the first command, which is ready. Easy enough. So when I point, yell ready.
Ready.
All right, we can probably do a little more use and a little louder.
Ready.
Perfect. And now this group has got a very interesting, maybe a little more flashy command, and that's fire. So when I point, yell fire.
Fire.
All right, looks like we've got it down. Now this is a cannon, so I assure you it will be plenty loud. So find some earplugs, I know you all brought them, and put them in, because I assure you it will be quite loud. And with that, once everyone's ready, we're ready to give our commands, which are...
Ready. Fire.
And that's your cannon salute to welcome you all to Fort Mackinac Island.